Live is now launching. So far, my internet has been working really well today, so we're going to see if it keeps up. Hopefully, it will. Hopefully, it'll keep going. My YouTube is called Brown Overboard. I have a personal YouTube as well that's just Respect the Danger. I haven't really started putting a lot of stuff on that one yet. But my podcast is called Brown Overboard, and that's on YouTube and Spotify if y'all guys want to check it out. All right. So I am live here on YouTube, and I'm also live over on TikTok as well. So welcome to the conversation. I don't know if anybody is on the YouTube one yet. I think it's just me at the moment talking to myself. Okay, we got 5 people over here on YouTube. So welcome aboard, everybody. I've started doing live Q&A after each episode over here on YouTube where y'all guys can ask questions. They don't have to pertain to the episode. If you have questions that do pertain to the episode and the topic we were discussing, that's totally cool. Throw them out at me. If you have regular questions that you want to ask or anything like that, you can also just toss that at me. Just feel free to ask me anything. I talk about a wide array of different topics and whatnot. So, whether it's family, bush, survival, Stoic philosophy, whatever y'all guys want to talk about, toss it out there, and I will get to as many questions as I can or as many as I feel like. And I am also running 2 lives at the moment. So I have my live over here on TikTok. Hello, everybody. And then I have my live over here on YouTube. Hello, everybody. All right, that's a question I get a lot. If I already built my house, if I'm still working to build a house on the mountain, and yes, I'm still working to build the house on the mountain. No, I do not have one built because after the fire, even though that was several years ago, I lost literally everything that I owned that wasn't in the back of my truck. So it was difficult to start over, considering that we basically, lost everything by moving from Alaska and starting over in northern Washington. That took everything. And then when the fire happened and all of that, that wiped us out. And it's been very difficult to bounce back from that. I wasn't able to just turn around and repurchase all of the things necessary to build a house. It's not exactly an easy thing to do. So unfortunately, no, I have not gotten to build my house up on the mountain. I do still plan to build a place up there. We'll see how that goes. Well, thank you. Thank you. As far as my hair goes, I just steal my girlfriend's shampoo and condition occasionally. I do sometimes use a coconut oil as like a conditioner and I leave that in my hair for the most part because I was born in the 80s and my hair took it way too seriously. So it can get a little bit out of control. And I find the coconut oil kind of like mellows it down a little bit. I also like it because it's au naturel. It is not something that you have to worry about being on your skin or accidentally getting in your eyes or in your mouth or anything like that. I don't have to worry about it, getting on my pillowcase or whatever. Coconut oil is au naturel and it doesn't matter where it gets. So that's one reason why the main reason why I really like using the coconut oil. Not all brands are created equal though, because I've used a couple where it had like a odd smell to it. I like the all natural, like cold pressed virgin coconut oil because it smells like coconuts and it smells really good. But I have used what was that conditioner I started using? There was shampoo. I think it was the Paul Mitchell. I think is what it was. It has a really good kind of unique smell to it, and it's really good, and it doesn't take a lot. And then I had my girlfriend for my birthday, my last birthday, got me some, beard oils and shampoos and stuff, and so I've been really enjoying the beard shampoo. Most of my life, I've just been like a bar soap guy, so when I do dip my toes into, like, the fancy soaps and stuff, uh, I don't mind. I don't mind it. Okay, what are some of the things that the family and I have looked for when trying to find a piece of property in the middle of nowhere to live on when you wanna live off the grid? So, for me, one of the big things is there being water on the property, which was a rule that my family completely discarded when they looked for the property here in northern Washington because this is basically a desert. Everybody when we moved to was like, "It's not a desert. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Yeah, it seems like a desert to me. All it's missing is a bunch of cactuses because there's like no water." So for me, that's one of the big things. One, it needs to be somewhere that is far enough out that you'll be left alone and you don't have like a bunch of neighbors and there's no people fencing you in and all that stuff. So being backed up to as much wilderness as possible is always nice. And there being water on the property is always a good one. And it being somewhere where there's game, where there are deer and stuff like that. And preferably some kind of large wild animal that wants to try to eat me. I don't feel alive unless there's some kind of predator out there in the forest that might want to try to eat me. Otherwise, it just feels kind of like a park. And so it's one of the reasons I'm not the biggest fan of Northern Washington. It has its good points and, it's really pretty and all of that stuff. And being up on the mountain is nice when you look over the hills and valleys and the lowland. And it's all pretty. And it's got a really nice sweeping cloud structure that you don't see a lot in Alaska. But as far as all of the downsides, I'm not a fan of how dry it is, how hot it gets, and all of that stuff. So one of the primary things you want to look for when trying to find a piece of property in the middle of nowhere to live off grid is somewhere that is somewhere you can actually get to, somewhere that is accessible, somewhere that has what you need to actually survive, preferably on the land. Speaking of dry, my sinuses are like super dry. I have no plans to move back to Alaska. I've got a lot of stuff going on, things that I'm trying to work towards, and it's difficult enough trying to do like acting and stuff from northern Washington as opposed to Alaska. I have no plans to move back to Alaska. My plan Z is to just disappear off into the Bahamas on a sailboat somewhere and never be heard from again. Not saying I won't end up in Alaska at some point. Like I'll probably end up there helping my brothers out with their properties and stuff. But no plans to ever move back to Alaska. All right. So thank you very much to everybody who is joining me over here on YouTube for the YouTube Live. And thank you to everybody over here on TikTok joining me over here. Appreciate all of the likes and thumbs ups and whatnots on the different programs. I know over here on YouTube it has like a tip jar basically that people can put tips in, and anything that anyone does regarding that, like anyone who does want to like help support the podcast and stuff like that, it all goes right back into the pod. I'm currently trying to save up for a second microphone because it is a goal of mine to be able to bring on other guests onto the podcast. And when I've got Gaby on the podcast or I got one of my brothers, it's one thing for us to like share a microphone and it be all like that. But if I'm going to bring on like other people, I kind of need to invest in a second one. I need to get a second mic and I could get one cheaper. I could buy a cheapo mic, but I've made that mistake before. And so instead of doing that, I'm going to save up until I can get another good one because this is a really good microphone. This produces some really high quality sound. And so that's what I need. So anyway, anything y'all guys throw in the tip jar, it goes right back into the podcast. All right. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. And that goes for everybody over here on TikTok, as well as everybody over here on YouTube. I don't know if it's common or normal for people to do multiple lives at the same time, but I thought, why not? I can. So why not? Yeah, so we live in northern Washington now. A lot of people are always asking where it is that we are located. We're in northern Washington. I am not married. I do not have any kids. I do have a girlfriend, and I've got a ton of nieces and nephews, which is all of the fun, none of the responsibility, just the way Bam likes it. Yeah, if y'all guys have any questions, just throw them out at me. I don't mind. Just toss them out there. I don't mind if people end up asking the same questions over and over either, because that's totally fine. Because one thing that I try to keep in mind is I may have answered the question 100 times, but you haven't asked the question 100 times because you're asking out of genuine curiosity, and it's like the first time that you're asking about it. So I'm totally fine if I answer the same questions over and over. And also, if you have any kind of question about any of the topics or anything that I talk about on the podcast and stuff, y'all guys can also throw that out there. It doesn't have to pertain to Alaska or to my family or anything like that. If you're just curious about stuff. Favorite jerky. It's hard to beat a good deer jerky, but I actually had some bison jerky once that was really good. But my favorite might be alligator, actually, because alligator jerky is fantastic. Favorite fish, anyone that any that I can catch. Favorite fish to catch is just whatever I can catch. As far as my favorite fish to eat, it would most likely be sockeye salmon and also a rockfish that I'm unsure what the name of it actually is. It's like a weird looking quilled back rockfish, and it's a very delicious fish. I'm always cooking. I'm always cooking. I always mess around with different recipes and love to cook a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I've had different kinds of alligator. I've had alligator jerky, I've had fried alligator, I've had grilled alligator. It's actually surprisingly really good. I've also eaten, frogs and snakes and all kinds of stuff. I'm not squeamish. Also had octopus and squid and tons of seafood and crab and lobster and all that kinda stuff, as well as deer and bison and caribou and elk and all kinds of things, and rabbit and ducks and a bunch of different kinds of ducks, and geese and turkeys and all kinds of things. Alright, with all my experience, would I feel comfortable sailing across the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans? So, I feel more comfortable at sea than I probably should. In a lot of cases, I've always had more bravado than brains, and so would I be comfortable doing it? Absolutely. Should I be comfortable doing it? Probably not. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of losing sight of land, so that kinda crossing could get a little hairy. Would I do it? Well, yeah, I probably would. But again, more bravado than brains, and I feel way more comfortable at sea than in some cases I should. What is a typical day like for me? I don't ever have typical days. I never have typical days. A lot of my days at the moment are spent working on my podcast, working on my dad's books, working on audiobooks and things like that, trying to get a lot of the stuff together that I'm working on, messing around with my acting and stuff like that. And even when I'm not recording something or getting to audition or anything like that, I run around doing monologues to myself and reciting Shakespeare and all that kind of stuff, which I still consider acting because I'm practicing. Favorite food to cook? Really anything. I like to cook just about anything. I enjoy cooking stuff that I've never cooked before. I like to find new recipes and try to perfect them. Would mom ever write a book? So it's unlikely. It's unlikely. She may. I can't say never, but she is not really into that kind of stuff. She never really has been, and she doesn't have a great interest in it. I fought for like almost over 15 years trying to get her to sit down and write that cookbook with me. And in all of that time, she got me four recipes. I've gotten four recipes from her, which I have now just given up. I've stopped trying to get people to do stuff that they're not interested in. It's like trying to get some of them on the podcast and stuff. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to be part of it. So that's cool. It's cool if they don't. And I shifted gears when it comes to the cookbook because I enjoy cooking. I'm obsessed with cooking. I love to learn recipes, change recipes, perfect recipes, create my own recipes. And I actually right now I'm up to 27 recipes of my own that I have either taken a dish that I like to cook and I've made it my own. I've changed the things that I don't like and added things that I do, and I've made it my own recipe. And then I have some recipes that are just out and out my own. They're just things I've made up and have continued to do and finally sat down and actually like wrote them out. Like I do a beef stew that is completely my own recipe, and I pretty much always do it the same way because it's really good. And I have 27 of these recipes that I've written out. And then I have about 14 recipes that are family recipes that like we grew up eating as kids. And yep, the family spaghetti is going to be in the book. So what it is the cookbook is now mine. I'm writing a cookbook. It's my cookbook. It's Bam's cookbook. And it does have a name, but I'm not ready to release the name yet. But I'm doing the cookbook, and it's going to have a chapter in there that has family recipes. And so what I've ended up doing, since I was only ever able to get mom to write down 4 of them, I've gone to all of my brothers and, or siblings, I should say, and gotten them to write down and give me the recipes they know how to cook because we all kind of picked up different things when we were growing up from our family recipes. And so I've collected those and I'm putting them together, and those are going to be in the book. One thing that is a slow go on it is because of the way cookbooks are formatted and things. And then also I have to cook each one of the dishes and take the photos and all that because, of course, this being something that I'm doing all of it. I'm the photographer, I'm the cook, I'm the guy writing the recipes, I'm compiling it all, I'm formatting everything, I'm making the book, I'm designing the cover, I'm writing all of the blurbs and everything for it. So it's something that is a labor of love because I really enjoy cooking. And so I've been working on it for a while. And it probably won't be out for a while because I have just too many things that I'm working on all at once and trying to get those things going. And I did want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining the live here. Thank you to everybody over here that's sticking around for the live because I've got TikTok and YouTube running at the same time. So why not? Why not? And also, guys, thank you very much for the likes and the stickers and whatnot over here on TikTok. And anybody that is throwing anything in the tip jar over here, appreciate y'all guys' support for the podcast. All that goes right back into the pod. It is something that is super cool about places like YouTube and TikTok and all of that, that people can help support creators and stuff and people that are, creating and supplying entertainment to people and all that kind of stuff because it is something that in the past wasn't able to be done that way. And, money is one thing that is very gatekeeping to individuals who are creatives and who want to entertain. And some people want to be creatives and some people want to entertain and some people want to be entertained. And so it's cool that a lot of modern technology and social media and YouTube and stuff like this have created the opportunity for people to be able to do that, for people to be able to put themselves out there in that way. And for other people, if they find an entertainer that they like, if they appreciate the entertainment or the quality and stuff like that, and they want to see more and they want it to keep going and they want the things to build up and be better, they're able to support that. And I think that that is really cool. And YouTube actually is really good about it because they just directly put the thing on there. Like if you want to help support this creator, help support them. And they don't make any bones about it. So I really like the way that YouTube does that. And then TikTok makes it fun for people over here with all their stuff, with like the stickers and the hearts and stuff and all the little thingies that it throws up and whatnot. So it's two totally different like systems they have going on, but it's cool. Oh, gas prices are insane everywhere. Gas prices are just crazy. I've actually messed around with worm farms actually because they're very beneficial for the soil, and you can also raise them for chickens and stuff like that. So there's actually like a garden worm farm thing that you can do, which is really easy to do. If you set it up, it's a permaculture thing. It's actually something that I intend to talk about on the podcast because I want to do more permaculture episodes as well. Because as the podcast goes and grows, it's going to build out into a few different avenues. So I'm going to be able to eventually start doing like playlists so that you'll have like the more educational episodes, you'll have the story time episodes, you'll have the episodes where I have a guest that I've brought on to the podcast and those kinds of things. I don't still have the bees. I'm obsessed with bees and beekeeping. Where I am right now, it's not possible for me to do that, nor is it possible for me to have the chickens and stuff. So when I am somewhere where I can continue to do that again, I definitely would love to do that. As far as going camping, not exactly. The last time I went, what you would consider camping, I guess, was one of the last times I made a trek down to Los Angeles because I had this chance to audition for something, and you had to be you had to be there to audition, and I only had, I think, like 4 or 5 days to get there. I didn't have a long time, and when I spoke to the person, they were like, "Yeah, we're holding auditions, and it's next week, and we'd like you to come in, if you're able to." And of course, when you're an actor and you're trying to make it, you just say yes. You're just like when they're like, "Can you be there?" I'm like, "Oh, definitely. I can be there." And so I just went right to get there as fast as I could, and I camped out on the way down there. So that counts, I think. All right, so we have 57 people over here on YouTube. We have 296-ish over here. Oh, I've got my phone is about to die over here, so I'm going to have to cut this one, unfortunately. Thank you guys for being here on TikTok. I might be back later on, but y'all can jump over to YouTube if you want to continue with the live. It's called Brown Overboard, guys. Okay, so I'm having to kill this because I don't have my charger with me at the moment, and I don't want to. All right, I don't want to like disappear on here on this one. That would be unprofessional to do that. So I'm going to keep this rolling for a little bit longer. I do have a bunch of stuff that I need to do, but I enjoy doing the Q&A on here, and y'all guys stuck around. So if y'all guys have any questions or anything you want to throw out at me, go for it. It can be about the family. It can be about myself. It can be really about anything. It can be about, Stoic philosophy. It can be about any of the things or topics that I talk about on the podcast. Y'all guys feel free to toss anything out at me. If you're curious about anything, go for it. Excuse me. Or if I can't guarantee I can give great advice, but if anybody has anything they need to talk about, let me know. Do I like country music? And if so, what's your favorite past and current artist? So I pretty much just make it up as I go along. I judge almost everything on a song by song basis. So as far as do I like country music as a kind of music, I don't judge things solely off of the kind of music, except rap. I hate rap, but I don't like a lot of music, to be honest. A lot of not to be that guy, I sound like a total old man, but a lot of modern music is just terrible. It's terrible to me. I have heard country anyway, getting back to the country music topic, I have heard country music that I did like. Yes, there are definitely some songs that are good. There's a lot that is just terrible, but I'm not the type person that's like, not going to listen to something just because of the technical genre it exists in. I'm not gonna be like, "Well, this song is technically labeled country music, so I don't like it." No, if I hear music that I like, then I'm gonna listen to it, that I like it, right? Because I've heard some Hank Williams that I liked. I've heard some, Sawyer Brown, I think it was, that was good. Uh, Dwight Yoakam, some of his stuff is alright. So, yeah. Johnny Cash, I think, was technically country. Now, a lot of people are just crazy Johnny Cash fans. I'm not the craziest Johnny Cash fan. He did a lot of good music. Some of his stuff is a little repetitive, in my opinion. Some of it's a little just not my style, but he did some good stuff as well. And then there's some stuff I would consider country that other people don't. So I everything is a song by song basis with me. Do I play an instrument? So, my dad could play every musical instrument, and he really tried, God bless him, he tried to teach us how to play musical instruments and sing and play the guitar and all that stuff, and for one reason or another throughout my whole life, I haven't really been able to dedicate the amount of time or been where I could dedicate the amount of time or had an instrument around me enough that I could really learn. I can fiddle around with some instruments. I can mess around with a guitar. What I cannot play. I'm not gonna say I can play the guitar because I can't. I can mess around with it. I pretty much just try to make sounds out of instruments that I find pleasing. The instrument I can play probably the best is the pan flute, just because I've had one for a long time and it's something that I have always thrown in my pack. And so I can mess around with that whenever I want to. I've always wished I was musically talented, and I mess around a lot with writing bad songs. But as far as being able to actually play an instrument, I'm gonna have to say no because of even whatever skill I have and anything like that, I'm not gonna say I can play an instrument because people who can actually play, uh, I'm not putting myself in that category. How old was I when I got my first cell phone? So, my own personal cell phone or when the family first got a cell phone? Because originally the family had a cell phone. But even that was sort of recent. That was like after the show started. We had a cell phone. And most of the places where we were was just it was a paperweight, and we used it mostly for a camera. So, how old was I the first time I personally got a cell phone? I was in my 30s. I was 30 something. I was either 30 or I was like 31 when I got my own cell phone. I think I was 30. Not a Grateful Dead fan at all. I've actually never heard one of their songs that I liked. I know a lot of people are, and to each their own. But nah, there are a few bands like that that I just don't. Just I've just never heard any of their music that I enjoyed or that I liked, and there are some singers that I just don't enjoy listening to. Like it's The Who or Just Who. One of those I really don't like. One of them I cannot stand. One of them is just like the sound of the singer, it's just like makes me wanna stab my ears out with pencils. Like, I just can't take it. Cannot handle the way that person sings. I mean, good for them. They're successful, and anybody that does like the music, wonderful. I'm not judging anybody for what they do or don't like, just what I do or don't like. And, yeah, and as far as Grateful Dead, just not a fan. I've never heard a single song of theirs that I liked. Am I a night owl? I am the night owl. I did a whole podcast episode about being a night owl. Do I play any video games or have I ever gone through that phase? If so, favorite game? So yeah, definitely. We've always had some form of game system and gone through a lot of trouble in the past to make them work. My dad actually rewired an old Nintendo so that it would work off of DC instead of AC, direct current instead of alternating current. He fixed it so it would run off of batteries on our boat. And, so I've played, a lot of the old games like Joust, Wings, Pong, tons of stuff like that, the old Mario games and stuff, the original Link, the very first Legend of Zelda. I remember Link to the Past was a favorite game of mine. The old role play games, I played the original Final Fantasy and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people when they get asked about games, they always say just the old ones, and then they don't mention any new games. But no, I've played throughout the years because it's always fun to sit down with that. And I'm a person that enjoys art and entertainment, so I like movies. I'm a movie guy. I'm a thespian. I'm an actor. I like video games. They're a different medium of telling stories, and you can tell a different story in that way and experience a different kind of storytelling with video games. It's like reading a book is different than playing a game is different than watching a movie and all these things. And so I appreciate the quality of experiencing a story through video games. Like Solid Snake is really good. Cutscenes should be skippable, uh, but Solid Snake is a great game. Really enjoy that one. One of the last ones was actually really good. The Phantom Pain. And then the game that I have played probably the most recently, or I do have to say, GoldenEye is one of my favorite games also. But also big fan of Link. All the Link games. I haven't gotten to play any of the new ones really. No time. But speaking of time, Ocarina of Time, number one game of all time. It's a very good game. And then Fortnite is the one that I've played the most recently for a few reasons. One, I'm a very competitive guy, so I got the Mortal Kombat on that list too. I'm a very competitive guy. So Fortnite's fun because you just get dropped onto an island with 99 other people, and it's last man standing wins. And it's not incredibly rushed and stuff, so you can, like, hide and you can be stealthy or you can run and gun and, you can sniper people or you can machine gun and all this stuff. So that one's really fun for that reason, because it's last man standing, right? And, also the thing that makes it really cool is that we can play it together. So, like, my brothers and I, we will play, like, Bear and I sorta recently were able to play together even though he's in Florida. And so it's like we're sitting together in the same room even though he's in Florida. So it's like meeting in the virtual world and hanging out because we're talking to each other over the headphones. We're chasing people around in the game. We're fighting other people and all that. So it's super fun. And also they have all the different, like, skins and stuff. So it would be really cool to someday have Alaskan bush people skins on there, which they put more like the Kardashian people in it. So I wouldn't see why they couldn't put Alaskan bush people. So that would be cool. And if I couldn't get a skin of myself, which would be the top one I would want, it'd be my dad. It'd be really cool, for dad to be immortalized, in a game like that. I played one of the original Calls of Duty. I have not ever played the newer ones, primarily because they're expensive and they charge you money to continue playing the game, which is another thing I like about Fortnite. You can spend a lot of money on Fortnite if you want to, but it's totally free. It's completely free to play. Doesn't cost anything. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do a bunch of the other games because, like, the Call of Duty one, way too expensive. Like, they want you to pay to play constantly. And I'm old school. I come from an era where when you buy something, you actually own it. I didn't have to buy Legend of Zelda over and over just to play it. No, I bought it one time and played it for years. So I'm very much an analog guy. When I buy something, I want to own it. It's mine. So it's one another reason why I like Fortnite. Completely free to play. I can just load it up and play. Well, I'm very into using my voice. I want to, do voice acting. It's a very difficult industry to break into, but I would really enjoy doing voice acting on stuff that would be super cool, like cartoons, video games, uh, anime dubs, stuff like that. And I can actually do multiple different, voices and change, like, the pitch on my voice and stuff. This is just my normal, like, comfortable speaking voice, and but I can do like a cartoony sounding kind of voice, a couple different ones, and then I can do, a couple, like, more demonic sounding sounding voices. So I'm working on audiobooks. I did an audiobook for my dad's autobiography, One Wave at a Time, and now I'm working on a little side business thing that I'm gonna do creating audiobooks for people. So because I've put so much work into doing, some public domain audiobooks and working on my dad's, audiobook, turning my dad's books into audiobooks, I've learned how to make them. So not only can I do the narration, but I know how to do the editing. I know what different file types you need to put your book in different places, and so I can create all of those things. So I'm going to offer my services to authors who are looking for, someone to create audiobooks for them. And so my business will be a one-stop shop. You just you buy the audio, you buy the service, and I will narrate the book. I will create the files, and you get everything that you need to then take that and run wherever you want to go with your book as an audiobook. And one of the reasons I really want to do that is because I know how difficult it is to get stuff like that made. And a lot of independent authors, a lot of smaller authors who are even traditionally published are not able to get good quality audiobooks created. And so that's something that I want to do. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining me for the live Q&A on here. Thank you to everybody for the likes and the thumbs up and whatnot. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the live, if you're enjoying the podcast, if you like the episodes, be sure to click the thumbs up there on the videos because it does help the podcast. It's completely free. and it does help the podcast if y'all guys do that. The main thumbs up on the videos. So if y'all guys enjoy it. And also, if you want to be notified about new episodes and stuff like that, you got to click like the bell thing so that it will tell you when I'm putting out new episodes, when I'm going live, when I'm doing all of this kind of stuff. And thank you very much to anyone who's put anything in the tip jar on here. Do appreciate that stuff, guys. If you're wanting to support the podcast in that way, that's always super awesome. If not, totally cool as well. It's great that y'all guys are enjoying the podcast. And the only reason I mention stuff like that and everything is because this does afford people the opportunity to be able to support creators if they want to. And all of that, I want y'all to know, goes back into the podcast because everything that I'm doing is to build up what I'm doing. So it's like to make it better for y'all guys. It's to be able to give a better quality to people, a better quality product to people that want to be entertained, that want to be part of the podcast. I'm trying to get a second microphone at some point. Well, you have a good night. Thanks for being here. Well, once I finally figured out how to do the lives on here, uh, I thought it would be a cool idea to follow up the episode where y'all guys get to watch a new episode, and then I follow it up with a Q&A. So no, no, I have no problems with any months or days or anything like that because every day is a new day. Months and things like that, that's a made up concept for us to keep track of time. Every day is a new day that hasn't happened yet. So it's irrelevant to me what calendar day it is or anything like that. Uh, yeah, so I don't care about any of that stuff. Every day is a new day, and I'm just happy to get every day that I get, and I enjoy every single day. I never try to rush through a day, even if it's a day where I'm getting stitches. I'm still enjoying the day because life is too short to have a bad day. And a lot of people, they'll just find any excuse to bring themselves down. And I've never been that kind of guy. Not saying I've never been down, but I don't go out of my way to find excuses to bring myself down. All right. So thank you for all the likes and stuff, everybody. And a special shout out and thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. Y'all guys are awesome. Do appreciate it. I do want to also throw out there, I don't know how YouTube feels about me mentioning other sites, but I do have the podcast on Spotify, and I'm trying to get that up to 1,000 listeners because currently Spotify, uh, if you're under 1,000 listeners, then they don't have to. You don't make anything from it. They just get to use all of your content for free, and so Spotify makes money off of it. But I see nothing. And then once I get to 1,000 followers, it allows me to like sign up for their ad revenue thing, which they put ads on my stuff anyway. I just see nothing from it. So anyone who is a Spotify user, oh, drop something. Anyone who is a Spotify user, if y'all guys are listening to it on there already, would appreciate the follow if you want to. Well, yeah, you can't let certain days or months or things like that bother you in that way, or like songs bother you. Like there are some people that can't listen to a song even if they like it because of what it reminds them of and stuff. And I refuse to ever be that kind of person. There was actually a song that I really liked. And for one reason or another, it ended up reminding me of something and was a song that ended up being associated to a different thing or a different time. And I refuse to ever be that kind of person. And for me, it's pretty easy. I just choose not to. But what I ended up doing was like I was like, no, I like this song. And so I would just play it. And instead of avoiding it, I actually ended up playing it over and over and over. And at the time I did this, I was driving to and from this job that I worked for like 2 months. So I every day driving there to the job, I would play that song like over and over. And so now to this day, because I did that, it reminds me of that and that's kind of funny. Uh, but also I've listened to the same 5 albums over and over my whole life. So it would be really hard for like a song to be associated with like a bad memory for me. But also, I'm just not wired, I don't think, like a regular person. I'm not wired in that way to be bothered by things. I've always been a student of Stoic philosophy. And, your mind is really the only thing in life that you can completely control. You choose how that stuff works. Like you control your mind. Nothing out here in the world do you actually have control over. You can't alter the world and other people and how people behave and all of these things. What you can alter, what you do have ultimate control over is your own mind. You control the strength of your mind simply because you will it to be so. So if you have a strong will, you can will your mind to be what you want it to be and to behave the way that you want it to. And I simply refuse to be weak in any way, shape, or form, and especially when it comes to my own mind. So I don't let things like that bother me because I choose to not let them, because those kinds of things are always a choice, whether it feels like it or not, whether people want to admit it or not. It is a choice. It is a decision that you are making to allow those things to bring you down and to bother you. And so I just choose to never let that happen. I refuse to give anything power over me. All right, guys. So how long have we been on the live? I thought I had a timer on here. It's going to go for like an hour, but I might not make the full hour because I've got other stuff to do. Oh, there's the counter. Yes, 40 minutes. It's been 41 minutes. Couldn't find it. There's too much stuff on the screen. All right. Yeah, it's one reason why I, tell everybody that they should read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. It's a book that on Stoic philosophy. It was written by a Roman emperor over 2,000 years ago, and it's a book that I've read multiple times. And it's all about Stoic philosophy. And a lot of people get Stoic philosophy very wrong. Like a lot of people, I've seen videos of people talking about it and stuff. A lot of people get Stoic philosophy very wrong because a bunch of people want to say that it is about like repressing your emotions and all of these things, and it's unhealthy and blah, blah, blah. Nothing could be further from the truth. Stoic philosophy is about controlling your emotions, recognizing your emotions, understanding them, and not allowing them to control you. Because the simple fact is either you are going to be in charge of your mind and your spirit and your emotions, or your mind and emotions are going to control you. You either control it, process it, are able to, work through it, or it's going to control you and it's going to become a detriment to your life. And being in better control is never a bad thing. It's always a good thing. Oh, I did get one person did tip and I forgot to say anything. I did click the like on there, but shout out to Deb 4035. Thank you very much for helping support the podcast. Do appreciate it. Oh, and shout out to Steve Maddow dash RN10HO. Thank you very much for the tip that's going towards a new microphone. Do appreciate it. Like I was saying before, it's one thing that's really cool about systems like this. I'm looking into Patreon or something like that. I think it was. People keep telling me about that. Other podcast people had mentioned it. And so I'm going to look into that one. But it is something that's cool because it is a way for people to support creators. And if you enjoy if you find value in it, if you enjoy the entertainment and stuff, then it's cool to be able to do that. It's cool to be able to support those things and stuff like that. So that's cool. because some people want to be entertained and some people want to be entertained, you know? And I know there's a lot of stuff that people end up not being able to do and not being able to continue pursuing because they have no way to do it. And I think that's something that's really cool about social media and YouTube in particular is because it does afford people the way to, if you want to help, support a podcast. If you want to help support someone that is creating content and putting stuff out there, you're able to. And like there's no pressure to have to, but if you're somebody that wants to and you find value in it and you enjoy it, it's cool that people are able to. Now, I don't know what kind of percentages and things all these systems take, which is one reason I had one on our podcast person was saying about Patreon. I've heard good things about that one because I guess there's like less of middlemanning on that one. They take less of a cut from the creators and stuff. I don't know how it works. I'll have to look into it. I just now got all this going. Well, I'm trying to build up the podcast. I'm still, figuring out how to be a host. I'm still figuring out how to make it work and all that stuff, and build it up and really make a go of it. And I'm really into it. I really want it to be big. I want to make it successful. I had set a goal for myself. Pardon me. I had set a goal for myself to try and get 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube before the end of the year. And it doesn't cost people anything to subscribe. It's completely free, but it's a bit of a slow go. I got up to 10,000 subscribers pretty fast, but then it really slowed down for some reason. And it's taken me well, it's been it's been a while. I'm not exactly sure how long, but I've been stuck on like 12,000 for a while. I think I'm on like 12,400 or something. So what I will say, a lot of people constantly ask about Matt, and I don't talk about it. And what I will say is that you cannot help someone that doesn't want to be helped. And one of the reasons that I have touched on it a little bit here and there is because you should never feel that you owe anyone an explanation for why you do or don't have someone in your life. And you should never feel that you owe anyone to an extent that you need to make your life it be a detriment to your life and to the people around you and to what you are doing. I actually did a whole episode on the podcast about mental health and stuff like that. And there is no shame in removing anyone from your life. Doesn't matter who they are, whether they're friends, neighbors, family, your own parents, your children, it doesn't matter. There comes a certain point where everyone is responsible for what they do, right? I believe in two things above everything else: freedom and personal responsibility. And you should have the freedom to live your life any way, shape, form, or fashion that you want to, provided that no one gets hurt and you're not stopping anyone else, for you're not trampling on anyone else's freedom. As long as you take personal responsibility for everything you think, say, and do. But that being said, it does not mean that anyone owes anyone being part of their life. And now the way I see it with like people with kids and stuff like that, yeah, your life should be dedicated to those children 100%. They should come before everything else in your life because they didn't choose to be here. You brought them here. They're your kids. They're your responsibility. But even that, there comes a point once people are, grown and adults and everything else, it's their decision to live their life. We are all solely responsible. Like I was talking about Stoic philosophy and stuff like that. We are all solely responsible for what we think, say, and do, and how we move through the world and the decisions that we make. And that is just the way it is. Everyone is responsible because at the end of the day, people can throw out whatever excuse they want to. But at the end of the day, you are what you choose to be. We all are what we choose to be. And it's that simple. And people can argue against that. And people can say, there are different reasons as to why this person may have done what they did, or blah, blah, blah. And a lot of those cases may be true. But you're still responsible for it. Doesn't matter the what, when, where, why, how, any of those things. You are what you choose to be. Well, I've always said, yeah, I've always said that, family's not necessarily blood. Family is, loyalty. Yeah, I've never had a problem with boundaries. I have never been the kind of person that has any issue telling anyone exactly what they think or letting anyone know exactly where they stand, and that might not make you a lot of friends, but, who needs friends? Mm, thirsty. Well, you have to be responsible for what you think, say, and do. And it's something else I've talked about and will continue to talk about is the fact that no one is who they think they are. We are not the person that we picture ourselves to be, nor are we the person that everyone else pictures us to be, because there's a different version of you that exists in the mind of everyone that knows you exist. And they've made up this version of you in their mind based off of everything that they know about you, think that they know about you, or the experiences that they have had by being around you or with you. But that is still just a concept of who you are. The same as the way that you think of yourself is a concept of who you are, because the reality of who you are is what you do and what you think and what you say and how you behave, because it is your actions, your words, and your deeds that echo through eternity. That is who you are. You are what you do and what you have done and what you say, because the version of you that exists to yourself is as much an illusion as the version that of you that exists in the minds of others. Oh, special shout out to Rig Pig OG. Thank you very much for the tip there. Appreciate it. It's going towards a microphone. And yes, guys, I could get a second microphone fairly cheap, but I've been down that road. I tried the cheap microphone thing a while back. I recorded like 14, 15 episodes, and they're just unusable. I've been able to salvage a couple of them, but even the ones I salvaged, the audio was terrible. And to do it, I just have to save up and get a good one. It took me forever to get this guy, and this is like my pride and joy. So this and my Canon, I have a really good Canon still camera. It can do video as well, but it eats the battery. I use it for still photography, and it is super good. It's really good. It's like it's a very good camera. And this microphone and that camera are my pride and joy. One of these days, I need to upgrade my computer system because I'm using a my computer's over a decade old. This is like a 2015 Mac that I'm using, and a lot of the programs I need to download, I actually can't use. My computer can't run it. So I still use like GarageBand on here for my audio editing. I do have a really good video editing program. And again, talking about buying stuff and actually owning it, it's Final Cut Pro. And so I was able to, it was expensive, but once I bought it, I own it. Now there's other stuff that you can pay that's a pay to use thing that attaches to Final Cut Pro, but it's one of the reasons why I like the Apple stuff versus Microsoft. I have found that with a bunch of the Microsoft stuff, the majority, it's a pay to play. So you have to like subscribe to the things and you only have it while you're paying them. Where the majority of Apple things I've gotten, once I buy it, I own it. I just own it. I own it outright and I have it. So, so that's one reason why I like the Mac and I like the Apple stuff. A lot. How much money is the microphone actually? So, the microphone itself, I think was around $1,500. It's like it's an expensive microphone. It was over 1,000. It's over $1,000 for the microphone. It's expensive. Now, fortunately, now I had to spend more than that to get this microphone, because at the time, like, it wasn't on sale at all, And I had to buy also all the cords and cables and headphones and stuff, which I do also if I may have a guest with a second microphone. I do also have to buy the headphones to connect to it so that they can hear themselves because when you can hear yourself on the mic, like, you know that getting back this far, you're starting not to be able to hear yourself. You can hear it, so you know how close you need to get to the microphone. So even if you're somebody that's not professional, hasn't like practiced doing voiceover work, you still like instinctively, since you can hear yourself, you know where to go. So with the second microphone and a guest, I also have to get headphones to hook up to it so they'll be able to hear themselves. But I don't have to buy more of the what I call magic boxes because there's digital and analog when it comes to microphones, and I won't go into all of the stuff. But digital, you don't get the crisp richness of the voice. It doesn't work as well. We'll just say that. And it plugs directly into your laptop. Analog, you need to have condensers and adapters that you run it through. I call them magic boxes that make it play into your laptop. Fortunately, I can hook two microphones up to the box I have, though. Now, I do need what's called a cloud condenser because you have to have a separate one for each microphone. So you gotta get the microphone, you need the cables, you need a cloud condenser. It'll run into the same magic box I have, and then that'll feed into the laptop. And then, of course, you need the second thing of headphones. So it's kind of everything except the one magic box I have to do over to be able to have a guest. And the idea would be to get 2 more microphones, 2 more sets of cables, 2 more sets of headphones, because what I would love to do is to have Gaby on as my co-host when I bring on other people as a guest. And also have to do something about my lighting situation because as you've probably noticed if you've been on here a while, my lighting is terrible. It's really bad, and it's constantly fluctuating. No, I am not what you would consider an animal lover. I like to eat animals. And I like to find new and inventive ways to cook them, but I am not a pet guy. I had a goldfish when I was a really little kid, and I loved that goldfish, but that was the last pet I ever had. I don't do pets. I'm just not a pet guy. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I mean, cool to anybody that does. Good on you. You know, if you wanna have a dog, have a dog, go for it. That's awesome. Like Gaby loves pets, you know? Uh, well, the microphone itself is that, and then the cables and headphones and the cloud condenser and all that is actually more than that. But it depends also if I could get the mic on sale because it was on sale once for under 1,000. It was like 900 and something just for the microphone itself, and I believe that was the same one. And also technology is moving really fast. So if they come out with better microphones, then this one might get lower and I'll be able to buy it easier. But we'll see. No, it makes a vast difference to have the good microphone, to have the better sound quality. You have to have the better sound quality. There is and there's just no way for me to do the work I'm trying to do. I can't create audiobooks without a good microphone. Also, I need a new cable for this one because you may have noticed when I bump it, it cuts out. The cord has gone out. So it's still working at the moment, and I don't have any spare. I don't have an extra. So I just kind of MacGyvered this thing back together to make it work. Yeah, I always had family dogs, like, the family always had a dog. I've just never been a pet guy. I don't do pets. I don't like pets. I don't like having to deal with it, and there's just the whole yuck. Just not a pet guy. Good for everybody that is, though. Like, Gaby's got dogs. I think everybody's got a dog, but no, thank you. Not for me. I remember there was actually a whole thing because we always had a bear dog growing up. We always had a guard dog, and sometimes we had a couple dogs. And so everybody would take turns feeding and watering the dogs. And when we were somewhere where you had to walk the dog, like when we were on the boats and stuff, and you had to actually walk the dog, everybody would take turns walking the dog. And of course, being a kid, uh, I was conscripted into having to be part of the chores and taking care of the animal. But I remember when I reached a certain age, and not that old, because we always ran on a voting system. right? So it was always like if we should do this thing or get another dog or whatever, there was like a vote and everybody voted on it, right? And we voted on all this stuff and majority rules and everything like that. So I remember when I had this idea, and I think it was like 11. I think I was like 11, something like that. And I called a family meeting. I told everybody, I'm calling a family meeting. Everybody get over here. We're having a meeting. And dad was like, okay. And he rounded everybody up and we all sat down. And I told everybody, okay, I vote that we get rid of all the dogs and cats, no pets. We get rid of all of them. We get rid of everything. That's my vote. Who votes with me? And everyone kind of laughed and like, no, none of us vote to do that. I was like, okay, so everyone votes. All of y'all vote to keep all these animals. And they all said, yes, of course. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, by our rules, by the rule set, since I have voted to get rid of all of them and everyone else has voted to keep them, I am no longer obligated to take part in the chores necessary to have the pets. And dad just got this big smirk on his face. And he was like, you're right. You're right. And I was like, so I opt out. And from that day forward, I never had to feed, water, or walk another dog. Never had to deal with them because it was, unless I chose to, because I opted out and those were our rules. And dad had like the biggest smirk and he was like, no, that's pretty sharp. And I was very proud of myself that day. I was like, yeah, that's how it's done. Felt like a lawyer. I felt like I was James Spader on I forget what they call it, the Boston Legal, which I don't think they made at the time. I don't know when that came out. I didn't see that for like a long time, but that was the vibe I gave at the time. Was very James Spader, laid down the law, case closed, I'm done, walked away. Favorite animal that lives in the wilderness of Alaska? I've always been a little bit of a bird nerd, which is kind of funny. I've always really enjoyed the taking pictures of birds and the noises they make, and there's so many different kinds and learning about them and all that. Always thought owls were super cool. There are Alaskan bats, which are kind of interesting and really difficult to photograph. Bears are also, of course, super cool. How could I not say wolves as my favorite? But I don't know because I like animals as long as they're wild animals. I like wild animals. I just don't want to have to take care of an animal. I like being the only animal in my lair. Once I'm in my lair, I want to be the only animal. Where did we get Mr. Cupcake? So my dad got Mr. Cupcake from a lady that he actually knew, had corresponded with for a while who raised Belgian Traverians. And if I remember correctly, Mr. Cupcake was actually a descendant related to the dog that we had for a long time in Alaska when we were all growing up, named Bronner. And so that's where Mr. Cupcake came from. And yes, I carried that rule from that vote for the rest of my days, with any of the animals, and no one ever assumed Bam was ever going to take part in taking care of any animals ever again, and I never did. Not unless I chose to. Like, I hung out with Bronner sometimes because he was a cool old dog, but never had to. What don't I do for work would be a much shorter list. It would be a much shorter list. There are so many different things that I do and so many things I'm working on. And I actually did a whole episode about like working and jobs and stuff like that because of the idea of like a job is monetary gain. It's to make money. And thus, by that logic, anything that makes money would technically be a job, regardless of what it is that you are doing or who you answer to or don't answer to. And by that logic, also anything that doesn't make monetary gain wouldn't be considered work or a job. Yet there's a lot of stuff that you can do that is physically demanding and exhausting, like chopping wood or, hauling your own water or building a house. But if you're not being paid to do those things, people would discount that as being work or being a job just because of what you are doing is not producing any monetary gain. So a lot of those things have to do with how you actually look at the concept around what it means to work. So I was homeschooled, and I graduated from homeschool when I was 17. Because I was even though I'm terrible at math, I'm really bad at spelling, but I'm pretty sharp at taking tests and stuff, and so I've always been all right at that. So I did graduate like the homeschool stuff at like 17, and then everything else, I've always been an autodidact. So that just means teaching yourself stuff. And a lot of schooling is basically just holding you responsible for learning, telling you what books to read, and then giving you a piece of paper that proves that you learned the things that you set out to learn. And super cool for anybody that does that stuff. Awesome, good on you. Very cool. But I myself have always just put stock into learning the things and knowing the stuff and making myself uh, a student of life and the world, really. So I've always been an autodidact, and I've always found a lot of stuff very interesting. And so I've always studied a lot of different things, like history, the history of war, primarily. Stoic philosophy, sociology, psychology, etymology. All of these things are kind of fascinating. And then, of course, I've studied a lot of like sociolinguistics and things like that, which was predicated upon my obsession for the arts and being a thespian. And I learned to reading Shakespeare. So I've always been pretty big into all of those kinds of things. And though I, in no way, shape, fashion, or form, am at all that smart, I'm kind of a moron. I have an extreme enjoyment when it comes to learning about things and wanting to learn about things. So it's something that I do a lot of, and with different things that I find interesting and fascinating. I did go to college for just a little while when we were in Ketchikan for a bit, and there were a few different things that I was messing around with there. Computer science and graphic arts and advertising, and psychology were a few of the things I was looking at, and some. It was stuff that was leading up towards two different avenues. One is kind of advertising, and the other one was what you needed to be able to sign up to join the FBI and go down that road. And that was something that I was very fascinated with. And for a time, had leaned towards a great deal. But I ended up having to drop out of all of that when dad went into the coma. And so that didn't work out. And I didn't get to continue pursuing that. But that was fun. I actually signed up for that because I thought it would be a good way to meet girls. And it was not. It was not in Ketchikan, Alaska at that time, at least. It was not a good way to meet girls. It did not work out. There were a couple, but, like, it was not, like wasn't a bunch of people. But I was gonna stick to it, it just ended up not working out. And I've always been an autodidact, and I, definitely, continue to pursue all different forms of, like, I guess what you would consider higher education, just because I like to study things when I find them interesting. Well, I'm an idiot. I'm just smart enough to know that I'm an idiot, and that makes me better than most idiots. Because if you know that you're not that sharp, if you know the ways that you are bad, then you're able to kind of fight against that and you're able to make yourself better, is the idea, and work around your shortcomings. And there's areas and aspects where I know I'm never going to be good at it. I will never be a good mathematician, nor do I want to be. I hate math. It drives me insane. I'm terrible at it. I hate it, and I will never want to be good at it. So that's not something that really bothers me. And then there's some stuff that I'm really good at, with, like, philosophy and philosophical things and stuff like that. I'm all right with. I'm pretty good. And so I just know I know I'm not that smart, but I'm smart enough to know that I'm not that smart, which gives me a bit of an edge in the realm of being a moron. Because we're all smart in our own way, and we're all a bunch of idiots in most ways. All right, guys. So it's been a little bit over an hour, and I was gonna go for do the Q&A for at least an hour. So we did that. I want to give a special shout out to everybody who is helping support the podcast in any way. A special shout out to everybody that is helping me save up for the mic and all that stuff. That's really cool that y'all guys were throwing stuff in the tip jar. Appreciate it. That's cool. And to everybody else, every thumbs up, share, like, and all of that stuff definitely helps the pod. It helps the channel grow. And so that's really cool. I don't usually, I've always thought it was super, super cringe, as they say, to be someone that is like and subscribe. But when it comes to the podcast, I don't mind doing it because I really like the podcast. I want it to succeed. I want it to be real. I want it to be cool. And so if y'all guys enjoy it, if you like the pod, if you want to keep seeing new episodes and help the channel grow and everything, go click the thumbs up on all the videos and click the bell thing, and it'll tell you when I'm doing other lives and when other videos come out. I do new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes it's a little bit later, depends on I'm bad with tech, so it depends if I have technical difficulties, but I've never missed a day since I started doing this. I have not missed a Wednesday or a Sunday. I've put a new episode out every Wednesday and Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. A couple of them have been a little bit later in the day, but I've never missed a day yet. So far, so good on that. So thank you very much to everybody for subscribing. Thank you very much for being fans of the podcast, fans of our show. And y'all guys are awesome. We'll see you next time for another live, for another new episode. Go push all the buttons. And if you want to, if you're a Spotify person, go give a follow on there because I'm trying to get up to 1,000 followers on Spotify. I have to qualify for stuff on there. So if y'all guys are a Spotify person, go give it a follow. Brown Overboard. All right. I will see y'all guys next time for more Brown Overboard. Respect the danger.